The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is less than 20 days away and I am so excited about it. It can't come soon enough. And what better way to get ready and familiar than playing the games that set up Tears. So earlier this year, I replayed Breath of the Wild again, finally got around to beating Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, and then completed the trifecta with Skyward Sword, the game with obvious inspirations for the upcoming release. And I just realized this year I'm gonna play too much Zelda games. Yes. Dope. So yeah, I've got a trilogy of these videos coming out before Tears release. Each video will go over my experiences, thoughts, as well as what I believe the relationship the game has with Tears of the Kingdom. And so for part 1, I'm going to start with the magnum opus of the absolute unit in Breath of the freaking Wild. So yeah, I'm super this way. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Let's do it. I've already gone over Breath of the Wild from a critique kind of standpoint in my previous video. I'm going to try my best not to repeat myself, but I also don't remember what I said too, so yeah, my bad. But for the purposes of this video, I'll be giving my thoughts specifically on how revisiting this game in 2023 felt, and also some takes to get off my chest about it. So what else can I say about this game? It's so imperfectly perfect. I can't believe that a game I've spent over 300 hours on and spent countless time watching Zelda content on YouTube and Twitter, and I still found some new stuff in this world. It is huge and so detailed. The theme of this replay was refreshing my memory in Hyrule. I did master mode, of course, and spent the beginning leveling up my stamina. I'm not a completionist, so no, I didn't set out to get all 900 Koroks or take all the pictures of every little thing on the map, but I did have goals in mind. I did complete all 120 shrines to get the Tunic of the Wild, and I completed the main quests with the exception of the DLC stuff. Don't worry, I've done them before. I have already several takeaways from this replay. This game still holds up well. I mean, many games have come out since then, and Breath of the Wild still gets brought up as a benchmark of sorts when comparing these games. And in the 6 years since its release, this game is still incredible. I mean, the freedom of movability with the climbing and sailcloth is one of its most defining features. Being able to freely travel anywhere is what makes Zelda the standard of open world games since its release. That freedom is applied throughout all facets of the game, from main and side quests, traversal, puzzles, discovery, enemy encounters, story, and boss fights. The game technically has limits on what you can do as a player in terms of movement and physics, but players have broken that to create amazing highlights. But what about my replay? It was great. The thing about replaying a game you love is that you either become nostalgic for that initial feeling when you played it the first time, or you still get a huge amount of joy even after countless hours of playtime. I belong with the first group. It still holds up as a great game, just that there was some magic when you discover something for the first time. The unexpected that piques your curiosity. Breath of the Wild is one of those games where I wish I can memory wipe myself so I can experience this game for the first time. Reflection wise, I do replay games, though not as often as some other players. I know there are many people out there like YouTubers and Twitch streamers who replay this game or other ones over thousands and thousands of hours, and they still love it. I'm just not one of them. I crave new experiences, and I think the other aspect is I'm pretty boring when it comes to my playthroughs. Yeah, I don't really experiment with builds or play with the mechanics as much as I should, but Breath of the Wild allowed me to play how I want to play, and also made it feel like that was the right way to play too. That's a pretty delicate line to balance, and Nintendo has done a terrific job implementing that. I got reminded of why Breath of the Wild is a great title. I know I haven't scaled every pixel of this world and done all that can be done here, but the scope of this game is breathtaking. LMAO! But all that aside, my replay experience was still great. Another takeaway is the story and the narrative. I've already gone over the narrative previously, and I still stand by my points. I believe the story is good and is told in a delicate way. I didn't always have that stance. I'm not pretending there aren't some not great parts. The threat of the big bad is felt throughout the world, but it doesn't ever feel dangerous. Calamity Ganon is always present in the background and gets mentioned by name a lot of the characters, but that's just it. Ganon is just in the background. It also didn't help to portray him as the ultimate evil, mostly because then Ganon loses death and dimensionality. But I learned to appreciate the story and the haphazard way it was told. Shout out to FromSoft Games for that. This replay really got me to understand the motivations and uniqueness of its narrative. So yay. There are some nitpicky gameplay mechanics. I've already talked about the dungeons and shrines feeling generic with its design and color scheme, and the weapons breaking mechanic. We've all talked about it. Everybody knows. But something I didn't mention was the lack of enemy variety. For a game that is huge in scope, you're basically fighting these enemies most of the time. Yeah, there are some tough enemies like the golden versions of Bokoblins and Linos and other overworld bosses like the Stone Talus and the Hinox, but there isn't a deep variety of enemy types. Most of the enemies are just versions of a basic boss enemy scaled up with their color or element differentiating them. This isn't like a factor of the game that just now drags it down, gotta throw it in the trash. No, just something that's really obvious when playing this game in 2023, especially compared to something like Elden Ring where there are a bazillion types of enemies. Again, not game breaking, just an observation. Oh, I guess motion controls were a little annoying too. I mean, it wasn't the whole game, but that's a topic for another video. And now the part where the relationship between Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom can be discussed. Oh yeah, they are directly related, you know, sequels and stuff. The biggest challenge Nintendo has set before them is how do you make a distinctly unique game that is a direct sequel to one of the most cherished games of all time. This is going to be really interesting to see how this all plays out. This past year, we saw Horizon and God of War getting sequels, and they more or less followed the formula in their original titles with improvements and enhancements in gameplay. Gamers online have said these games are $70 DLC, or it's just the same game with more up-to-date graphics. They've been proven wrong, as those games are amazing in their own right, but they do feel pretty close to their own respective originals. Tears of the Kingdom looked like it would directly follow the formula of Breath of the Wild, art style, basic mechanics, weapons breaking, and directly follow the story from the original title. I know many people's initial reaction to Eiji Aonuma's gameplay preview like, oh, it's Breath of the Wild in the sky, but him showing off how the new mechanics will remix the formula with weapon fusing and Ultra Hand got some curiosity from folks. But that last trailer they showed off is wow. If some players were only curious, that trailer definitely got their attention. Just based on that alone, it looks like Tears is blowing way past the $70 DLC image. They showed more of the enemy varieties, hinted at underground dungeons, crazy boss fights, zero gravity, scene-stealing Ganondorf, and mech builds. You get to build your own mech? I am partial to the argument where Breath of the Wild is going to feel like a tech demo once Tears of the Kingdom comes out. Player Essence called this out a few days ago, and based on the trailer put out by Nintendo, I'd have to agree. Not that I thought Breath of the Wild is not impressive, it still is, but the relationship Breath of the Wild has with Tears of the Kingdom is important. I have said Nintendo has never made the same Zelda game twice, and they don't look like they'll do that here, even if it takes place within the same world and has the same foundation. Yeah, they've actually made some Zelda game sequels, but they changed up the formula between those games dramatically to give it its own identity. It reminded me of when Breath of the Wild was first announced as a title to rethink the conventions of Zelda, and it certainly did with its open world design, minimalistic storytelling, and ability to go anywhere with little to no restrictions. With Tears being the follow-up, it looks like it's going to continue that same break, but also reintroduce some of the dynamics Breath of the Wild lacked, such as dungeons and a much more involved story and villain. And even if Tears does make Breath of the Wild look like a tech demo, that'll be an accomplishment of a lifetime. Breath of the Wild has been a genre-defining game for the past 6 years across 2 generations of video games. Its legacy is established as one of the best games ever made. And if somehow the devs and Nintendo release a game to make Breath of the Wild look and feel like just some half-baked project, there will be many people out there getting absorbed into this familiar world. There will be gamers out there doing the coolest and weirdest run, and there will be many fans out there immersed looking at the TV or on their Switch and experiencing what it was like to play video games for their first time. Hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know how you feel about Breath of the Wild and or how excited you are for Tears of the Kingdom in the comments below. And as always, thank you for watching.